Hey, there we go. All right, gorgeous. So, first things first. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Naama Sagal. I am a certified advanced life coach. I'm also a Torah observant Jew, and I practice kosher Jewish astrology. So, what is that and what does it mean? So, it means that I have, since I was 15, studied and practiced kosher astrology um, basically for years. Now, this was starting in the 90s. Obviously, we like barely had a bookshelf to study from. Um, like if you're a child of the 80s and 90s, you know what I'm talking about. But I slowly taught myself over time, went to every occult bookstore in Los Angeles, collected every piece of information I could find, and slowly over time, I grew better and better and better at uh, understanding what astrology is, how it works, what it's for, what's the purpose, the whole deal. The thing is that as I grew older, I and mind you, I was not always a Torah observant Jew. I tell people all the time, if you're trying to explore your Judaism, please don't feel like you have to be a certain way. I was straight up Wiccan and pagan for a very long time in my youth, and I rejected everything Jewish, absolutely everything. It was my way of rebelling. Um, Kids do that. Mine are doing that now. And me learning astrology was just part of being who I was. And while I learned and studied astrology from age 15 until about 8 years ago, I was studying it and aligning my life with the movements of the planets, and it was working beautifully. Um, my life really was able to make a lot of sense. Now, obviously, things like COVID happened and, big major upheavals got in the way. And that's not something that anyone is going to be able to navigate perfectly, whether you know astrology or not. But my story kind of took a turn when I started to become Baal Tshuva. If you know what Baal Tshuva means, it just basically means that you were born to a Jewish mother and you never really practiced anything, and you've decided, I think I want to learn more. And I did. And so as I started to gain more understanding of Torah and Judaism and realizing I didn't know jack shit, I started learning more and more and more. And I started to get really nervous that I was not supposed to practice astrology because there is so much conflicted information around, is astrology allowed or not? And that's a whole separate lecture. And I'm not as good at teaching it as like Rabbi Aaron Pincus, for example. But the bottom line is, when I became Baal Tshuva, I stopped actively practicing astrology. It was one of the worst decisions of my life. I absolutely should have been practicing astrology this whole time. And I wasn't. And I deeply regret it because it would have changed so much for the good. And I was scared and I didn't have enough information. And, my life kind of ended up going off the rails. So in the last 6 months or so, I've recently learned, I love learning new things. I've recently learned that not only is astrology totally Jewish, astrology comes from Torah. I did not know this. I felt super ignorant and super dumb when I first heard about it. And that's kind of what brought me to this point today. When I started accepting that astrology is not only from Torah and that you can practice it in a kosher way, and that it turns out I've been practicing it effectively for almost 30 years, I felt so much better. And suddenly things have started making way more sense for me, especially because not only have I been practicing kosher astrology, which means no predictions, no prognostications, no, you're going to win the lottery, none of that. And I haven't been practicing anything called astral magic. for obviously like logic and common sense and reason. I haven't been doing prognostication or astral magic. Those are the two types of astrology Judaism forbids. And it's very clear in Chazal, we're not supposed to do those. And I don't, and I never have. And again, I could do a lecture on that later. But kosher astrology, I absolutely do practice, and I want to share that with you. So I'm sorry that the ramp up took so long. I was dealing with like tech issues and stuff that wasn't necessarily making as much sense as I wanted it to. But bottom line, we've got it figured out. My camera is not doing what I want it to do. I don't like what it's doing. It's pissing me off. So you'll have to forgive me. But let's get into it. Okay. So, I should also mention, I had a near-death experience about 15 years ago, and ever since, my clairvoyance and my clairaudience has skyrocketed. I'm able to see and hear beyond the five senses. I get a lot of information, a lot of downloads, and it helps me in everything that I do, in my coaching, in my marriage, and in everything. But in particular, it helps me when I do readings. So today, I was just being reminded that I'm probably going to have to cut it short, but I want to tell you about something really amazing that happened to me on Shavuot. So for those of you who don't know what Shavuot means, it means the holiday where all the Jewish people who bailed from Egypt and booked it out of there gathered around a mountain and became Am Yisrael. We became the Jewish people. And so that holiday, like nowadays it's known as the cheesecake holiday. I think that's the dumbest thing ever. But point is, on Shavuot, it's a very potent, very energetically powerful holiday. It is the anniversary of the night that it happened. Like, we aren't making up a date. Like, we've been doing this on this date for 3,337 years. So for me, for Shavuot, I find it to be a very powerful holiday. It is understood in Judaism that every single Jewish soul that has ever been or ever will be was there that night when we heard the lightning and saw the thunder. That's the reference that's given. So on Shavuot, we are deeply tethered and energetically to the events that happened to us 3,337 years ago. And just saying this out loud, coming out of my mouth, sounds so weird. Like, yeah, I totally remember what happened 3,337 years ago. Like, that sounds dumb. But I'm telling you, like, this is just what it is. So this year on Shavuot, the craziest thing happened. I received this incredible download about astrology as it relates to Judaism. So this is where it gets a lot. So for those of you that are interested in astrology, keep listening. Basically, I was doing what I do. It was the second night of Shavuot. I was in a trance state. We can enter trance states in all kinds of ways, whether you're praying, whether you're walking, whether you're dancing, whatever. I was in a trance state, and I started talking to God. And I'm like, I want to know more about kosher astrology. I want to know more about Judaism. I want to know more about how I can be my best self and bring these gifts to the world. And I kid you not, I got struck like it was like I felt like I got struck by lightning, and I jumped, and I got this information like Neo in the Matrix, right? Like straight to my brain. I had been chewing on and ruminating on this idea of what can I do to decenter astrology away from Greek and Roman culture. If you follow Jewish history, you understand that we have a really bad history with the Greeks and the Romans. They're gone. We're still here, by the way. But I don't like centering any practice that I'm doing in my life in a Greek center or a Roman center. I don't like it. It already annoys me that we have Greek and Latin language in our culture as it is. So I've been actively attempting to decenter my astrological practice away from Greek and Roman culture. So that was the point of my meditation, me being in trance state. So I asked God, I'm like, what else can I do to get this Jewish astrological practice away from Greek and Roman culture? I don't want to connect it. And I got hit with this insight. When you pull someone's star chart, their Mapat Mazel, that's what we call it in Hebrew, Mapat Mazel. When we pull someone's star chart, the big three component pieces that make up a good chunk of that person's personality, they're called the big three: the sun, the moon, and the rising sign, or the ascendant. Thank you so much for sharing the live. Thank you. I know it's such a niche topic. It's really hard for me to find other Jews who are into astrology, but it is what it is. Bottom line, when you pull someone's star chart, their Mapat Mazel, the three big pieces that come up are sun, moon, and rising sign. Anyone who does astrology knows that those are the three big pieces. And I apologize if you hear my kittens in the background. They're running around like crazy. When you pull someone's sun, moon, and rising, it gives you a really good picture of what kind of person they are. And then when you pull the rest of the Mapat Mazel, you end up with all kinds of insight about who they are, why they are, how they perceive the world, what challenges and obstacles they're there to overcome, what strengths they've been given when they were born, all of that. So I asked, how can I decenter my Jewish astrological practice away from Greek culture, away from Roman culture? And this is what I was told. Avraham Avinu hu hachama. Yitzchak Avinu hu halevana. V'Yaakov Avinu hu hamaza olel. What does that mean? Abraham, our forefather, is represented by the sun. Yitzchak Avinu is represented by the moon. Yaakov Avinu is represented by your rising sign, your Mazal Olah, or Ole. And I was like, what does that even mean? Like, I speak English, I speak Hebrew, I speak Spanish. I still don't know what you mean. And so these pieces started to fall together in my mind as I'm sitting in this trance state on Shavuot. And here's the main idea. Avraham Avinu was the trailblazer. He was the brave one who, thank you so much for liking the live. He was the very first one who made the decision, I'm not going to follow the trend. I'm not going to get on the bandwagon. I'm not going to worship idols like all these other people are doing. My father is a sculptor. He makes and sells idols. I don't care. I'm not going to do it. I am going to leave my home and the house of my father and the land of my father. I'm going to go where God tells me to go, and I am going to start a new path. I'm going to carve a trail that's never been carved before. And so with Avraham Avinu, he set the tone for everything that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are. That's who Abraham was. In relation to your Mapat Mazal, your star chart, he is the sun. On your star chart, the sun represents your core identity, your core self. If someone says, oh, I'm a Taurus, I'm such a Taurus, I have so many Taurus qualities, they're talking about their sun sign, their chama. That's the word in Hebrew, chama, the warm one, the hot one. Your sun is your core, is your nefesh, your essential self, your ego, your identity, your core. That is the sun, that is the chama. So why does that matter? Because Avraham is our core, collectively, as a people. Am Yisrael is Am Yisrael because of Avraham Avinu. And so it's critical to recognize that. And that was the first piece of that puzzle I was given. Then it came to the moon, Yitzchak Avinu, Isaac, our patriarch. Isaac, Yitzchak Avinu, was not at all like his father. Like Avraham was like courageous and like walked into an oven and like fought wars and did all of these incredible big things. And he was constantly sitting at the door of his tent waiting to invite people in and like feed them and hang out with them. And he was like so welcoming and so big and so strong and so out there all the time. Hi, Neta. And Avraham was that guy. like the sun. He shone with the light of Hashem. Yitzchak wasn't. Yitzchak was much more internal, just like the moon. He spent his whole life reflecting the light that his father taught him. The moon reflects the light of the sun. Yitzchak was so holy. He was so constantly centered on reflecting the inner dimensions of his kedusha, his holiness. He was always davening. He was always praying. He was so holy that it says in Torah that when Rivka, his future wife, was brought to him to meet him, she saw him praying in a field, just like from his heart. And she was like, oh my gosh, he's so holy. Oh, I don't want to interrupt what he's doing. And she immediately covered her face so that she wouldn't distract him, because she did not want to get in between the connection between Hashem and Yitzchak Avinu. So he's representative of the moon in our lives. And the Levana, that's what we call her, the white one, the Levana. So the Chama is Avraham Avinu, and the Levana is Yitzchak Avinu. And not only is that like correlated, there's additional layers, obviously. The moon is Israel, is us. It's the Jews. We are considered to be the moon, and Hashem is the sun. And we're supposed to reflect the light of Hashem and be a light unto the nations, and all of these light metaphors. But also, when we talk about the moon in astrology, we're talking about our emotional profile. We're talking about the way that we emotionally digest and process the world. And Yitzchak is a beautiful example of that. He had so many emotions and feelings that he kept internal. Like, we don't know how he felt about being the Akedah, being the sacrifice on the mountain, and like having his life spared by mere moments. Like, we don't know how he felt about it, but he was one of our forefathers and had such incredible kedusha, incredible holiness. He is related to the moon, the Levana. Okay, great. Don't forget to like and share the live. If there's any Jews that you know that might be interested in learning about kosher astrology, please share the live. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, we totally have astrology, darling. Don't ever let anyone tell you we don't. We absolutely do have astrology. We just have to do it, like everything else, kosher. We have to do it in the fit appropriate way, right? We can't do prognostication, like predicting the lotto numbers. We can't tell the future, like in 3 weeks you're going to win the lottery. And we can't do astral magic, which is what the Chaldeans did. Literally, their name is still on many websites that do astrological charts. Not good. So anyway, Abraham's the sun. Yitzchak is the moon. Jacob is the rising sign. Why? Well, when you do someone's chart and you look at their rising sign, that's actually the face that they put on when they meet the world. You won't meet someone and immediately assume, oh, that must be a Gemini. You're going to see whatever their rising sign is. You're so welcome, sweetheart. So when, like for me, for example, my Mazel Olah, my ascendant sign is Moznaim, the scales, Moznaim. So I come across as charming, diplomatic, glib, great communicator, hey, Bear Jew, able to communicate well and get win-win outcomes for people. That's my ascendant. That's my Mazel Olah. That's not my sun sign. And that's the way Hashem designed it. It's almost like a mask behind, that we can sort of put out to the world and not show our core self. Why is this Yaakov Avinu? What the hell does this have to do with Yaakov Avinu? I'll tell you what. Yaakov spent his entire life transforming himself in relation to the world. When he was born, he was part of a set. He was part of twins. It was Esau and Yaakov. He was identified as a part of a unit. Like, they weren't even separate. They were like Esau and Yaakov. And then he grew up and he stole his brother's inheritance, his birthright. And he transformed himself, like, by putting on like the wool and all of that. He transformed himself into Esau temporarily. Don't mind the kitten, she's fine. He transformed, so he stopped being Yaakov and he became Esau. he took the birthright and then immediately bailed and ran to Haran so that, he did not get destroyed by his brother. And he's suddenly now Laban's nephew and Laban's employee. He's no longer Yaakov, the son of Yitzchak. That's my nephew. And he's a shepherd. And then he becomes Leah's husband. And he effectively gets cuckolded. Like he gets totally screwed over by his father-in-law. Laban was not a nice guy. And he becomes Leah's husband, which is not what he wanted. And then he becomes Rachel's husband. And then he becomes this major power player in Laban's tribe. And he is able to do animal husbandry and produce these incredible sheep, which is considered currency at that time. And he's able to make money for Laban. He's able to change the trajectory of Laban's tribe and his economics and his family and change the entire trajectory for Laban. And then he eventually, thank God, leaves Laban, takes his kids, takes his wife, takes his goats, takes his stuff, and leaves and returns to the land of his father and produces the 12 Shvatim, the 12 tribes of Yaakov, right? So he's constantly evolving in his life story. His life story is not static. He's constantly growing and changing into someone new and putting a new face out there into the world, the way he shakes hands energetically with the world. That's why he's the Mazel Ole. Does that make sense? So putting these things together, again, it's really like nuanced and there's so many spiritual layers to this, but it blew my mind. So, hi, sweetheart. My kitten wants so much attention. So basically, Abraham is the sun. Isaac is the moon. Yaakov is the ascendant. And I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is so great. Wait, which planets are the Imas? Is it like Mercury and Venus? And who are they? And God laughs at me. And she's like, no, they're not planets. Silly. The Imaot are the elements. Okay, so whether people want to admit it or not, I know, right? Like, sit there and buckle up, Buttercup. Like, it's a lot. It's Patty Cake. Hi, Patty Cake. So this is intense. So we understand, whether or not people want to admit it, Judaism is an earth-based agrarian religion. We always have been. Yes, we are very cerebral. Yes, we are very intellectual. Yes, we are academic. It is the book that has saved our lives. It is Shabbat that has kept us alive. But we are, at the end of everything, we are people of the land. We are agrarian people. We literally shake a bunch of plants in 6 directions every fall. And we talk about, all the 4 worlds, which is Asiya, from the top, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya. We are earthbound people. The entire point of Torah is not to become some monk on a mountain. The entire point of Torah is for us to take the wisdom of Hashem and channel it into this world, into physical things, and change the lives of as many human beings as possible for the good in this world. That's called embodiment, right? And no, but thank you for saying so. Now I will put it on my book list. I'm reading 5 books right now, so I'll just add it. Bottom line, the duality of masculine and feminine is so multi-layered, especially in this metaphor. So yes, the Avot, the 3 fathers, the patriarchs, are the sun, moon, and rising, the core of the identity in the Mapat Mazel, in the star chart. The Imas, the mothers, are the elements. They are, the fathers are in the sky, the mothers are in the earth, are down here with us. And your star chart is divided into 4 elements. The Mazalot, the zodiac, is divided into 4 elements. People don't know that. So you have 3 signs that are air, 3 signs that are water, 3 signs that are fire, 3 signs that are earth. So I'm asking God, I'm like, explain this to me. So she goes, Sarah Imanu, our matriarch Sarah, Abraham's wife, she's fire. In every sense of the word. Hey, Bernie, she's fire. She was the first one to light the Shabbat candles before we had official Torah, before she knew she was supposed to light candles. She lit the candles in her tent. She knew that she was going to be married to this man of fire, this son, this Avraham. She knew she was going to have to be a trailblazer. She knew she had to be fearless. She walked into the palace of the Egyptian Pharaoh and never feared because she knew Hashem was with her. That's fire. That's fearless. And her husband was taken through all these wars and fought all these battles. She was there at his side and welcomed people into the tent and lit that spark of Judaism inside of them. She is fire. And I don't know if you notice or not, in Torah, it talks about when Sarah finally did leave this world, the cloud that was over her tent disappeared. And when Rivka returned, Rivka, her daughter-in-law, returned and came and joined Sarah's tent and took the place, the cloud came back. Why? Because Sarah was the fire and Rivka is air. So in elemental study, both in Chinese medicine and what type of chart drawing is appropriate for kosher astrology? I can show you in a second. In Eastern medicine and Ayurveda and Western study, when we talk about the four elements, they're effectively the same. Fire relates to spirit, to the soul, to this ephemeral essence that you literally can't hold in your hands. Air is related to thought, communication, ideas, right? Things that happen in the mind, that's air, as well as your breath, obviously, and song and communication, anything with breath, right? And then water is emotion, psychic ability, feelings, as well as literally like sorrow, sadness, and birth, which they all go together. And then earth is related to all things of this world: food, security, stability, home, clothing, money, commerce, economics, your physical body, your bones. These are reflected in our body as well. Give me 1 second. I got a whiny kitten here. Stop whining at the door. Anyway, so basically, if Sarah is the fire, Rivka is the air. Why is she the air? I'm asking God on Shavuot. And God's like, because Rivka understood these big ideas about Yaakov and Esau. She understood that Yaakov needed to receive the birthright. She understood that she had to deliver this message to Yaakov and get him to get the birthright. And she's the one that sent him to Laban, her brother, for safety. Now, I'm not saying that was a brilliant plan because Laban was an a-hole. But what I am saying is it did save his life. And eventually he got the love of his life, Rachel, from it. And he was able to make a family and have children and be successful. Granted, not in any way the way he wanted, but he still did it. And all of that happened because she was the heir. She was delivering that message. Now we have Rachel, our matriarch. Rachel is water for so many reasons. But the very first one that came up, if any of you have ever been to Israel, if any of you have learned Torah and learned about what happened to us when we were exiled to Babylon, we had to go. I know, I just got kittens for my birthday. It's a whole thing. And she won't let me come near her. So basically, if you've learned anything about how we were enslaved when we were taken to Babylon, we walked a very specific road leaving Eretz Israel, walking to Babylon. And on the road to Babylon, where we were kept as slaves for a generation, the grave of Rachel Imenu, of Rachel, our matriarch, is there. And the Jews would stop at her grave and weep and pray to her to speak to God on their behalf, to stop what was going on, to protect their generations, etc. Even now, Rachel is known as the weeping mother, the one who weeps for her children in exile. Weeping is water. Hello. But also, when we talk about Rachel, Rachel, literally her name means Rach, meaning womb, or the other extension word is compassion, Rachamim, compassion. The root word is the same. The root word is womb. Okay. So Rachel means womb or compassionate one of God. The womb is literally the holy space filled with sacred waters where life comes from. Rachel is water. Okay. Now, that's okay. Now, the waters in Breshit. Exactly. Now, Leah, our last matriarch, is earth. Leah, I've always struggled to relate to Leah, and then I looked at my chart after this revelation, and I know why. But Leah was basically, she's earth. She was the quiet, consistent, reliable Ima. She gave birth to the majority of the Shvatim, the tribes. She gave birth to the majority of the boys. This matters. When you have, you're Jacob, you have 12 sons, and a majority of them have come from one woman, we would call that the bones of the tribe. Bones are represented by the earth, right? When we talk about the way the elements are manifested in our body, the blood in your body is water. The tears are water. The breath in your body is air. The electrical impulses in your brain and in your nervous system, that's fire. And your bones and your muscle are earth. So Leah quietly, consistently, reliably gave birth and nurtured and cared for the bones of our tribe. And she doesn't get a ton of credit for it. A lot of the story is like Rachel, Rachel, Rachel. But at the end of the day, Leah did produce the bones of our tribe. And when we think about how we interact with the world, there's this line, actually, it was from Good Will Hunting, but I know that it's actually a quote from somewhere else. Basically, it's a Buddhist quote, and it says, before enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, you chop wood and carry water. Meaning, it doesn't matter how big and important and amazing you become, you still have to do the same little things consistently. That will not change. That's Leah. That is the energy of Leah. That is the energy of earth energy. Consistency, stability, reliability, slow to move, but dependable, right? You were supposed to be on this live, Scoot. I knew it. So all of that being said, I'm sitting there in this trance state on Shavuot, and I'm getting this download, and my brain is exploding. And then it hits me. Not only are the imaot, the elements, ready? Okay, ready? But in Sefer Yetzirah and in the Zohar, it talks about how there are 4 worlds, 4 spiritual dimensions where all things originate from. And in order, they are fire, air, water, earth. The exact order that it was given to me with the 4 mothers. In traditional neo-paganism in the United States and in Western countries, we often hear the 4 elements in terms of earth, air, fire, water, earth, air, fire, water, earth, air, fire, water. That tends to be the rhetoric when it comes to Western countries, Western neo-pagan movements, etc. This is not how it was given to me. It was given to me specifically fire, air, water, earth, exactly the way the 4 worlds operate. And it just struck such a chord in me that I was blown away. And I literally laid in bed, like with my mouth hanging open. And my husband's like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think I'm okay. So needless to say, it took me a while to process this information. And obviously there's way more layers. I wrote all of it down, right? I have a giant book of all my writings that I do, and I wrote all of it down. But here's the thing. It's taken me time to digest it. So I wanted to share this with you because Now that I have this knowledge and understanding, not only am I doing the astrological practice that I do, but when I run charts for people, when I do Mapat Mazel for people, whether it's a single person or whether it's someone in Shidduchim who's looking to get married, or whether it's a couple who is ready to get married and they want to know how their Mapat Mazel, adds up, or whether, it's just for your own benefit, whatever it is, this layer of nuance is so inherently Jewish. I had to share it with everyone. So there's more layers to it. I would love to answer any questions that anyone has. If you want to jump up and hit the guest button, feel free to request up. But just to share a teeny tiny little nugget of this. These are pieces that are both understood when it comes to studying astrology, but they're also pieces that exist that were highlighted for me, for example, in my research, as well as in the book Kosher Astrology by Rabbi Aaron Pincus. So, for example, when we talk about the sun, what are the qualities of the sun? Warmth, heat, it gives life. Without sunlight, we have no life. Avraham Avinu was warm and welcoming, and without him, the Jews would not have existed, right? The moon, and mind you, it's also connected to the soul. It's also connected to Torah, specifically the Chumash, the 5 books of the Chumash. But the moon, the Levana, totally different. The moon is related to emotions, feelings, needs, and desires because they come and they go, just like the moon waxes and the moon waves. It impacts our tides. The tides go up, the tides go down. The moon is not consistent, neither is Am Yisrael. And we are a lot like the moon in that regard. So when it comes to desires and needs and emotions and feelings, the moon is not connected specifically to the 5 books of the Chumash. It is connected to Musar and to Midot. So for those of you who don't speak Hebrew yet, or who you don't learn yet, I can't wait for you to take that on one day in the future, hopefully. But Musar is basically the Jewish practice of ethical alignment and improvement. Having the best possible personal qualities and traits and taking the Torah that we learn and applying it in our day-to-day life when shit hits the fan. That's Musar. Musar is, here's this big esoteric Torah concept, and I'm going to bring this down into my real life when it comes to my neighbor who started mowing their lawn at 6 o'clock in the morning. Right? That's Musar. Musar teaches us how to change our thoughts so that we can behave better and we can embody Torah. Midot are the actual character traits, the qualities, kindness, compassion, wisdom, respect, honor, dignity, yearning for Torah. Those all are related to the moon. Those are connected to the Levana, especially because we're not consistent. It comes and it goes. Some weeks we are right on it. If you're a guy, you're like, I'm going to wrap tefillin today, and you manage it for like 3 weeks straight, and you're at Mincha and Mariv, and you're there, and you do it every week, and you're day in, day out, and you're awesome and consistent, and then you get the flu, and then you're not. That's the moon. It comes and it goes. And I believe, we as Jews need to start understanding what's going on in the sky, especially with the phases of the moons, the different phases of the moon, as well as the position of the moon, because it's going to dictate the energy that's happening around us and whether or not we should be tackling certain situations at that time. I'll get into that later. But then we look at the ascendant, and the ascendant is literally all about how we greet the world. Literally our handshake. So for me, in my practice, it's associated with something called kiruv. Kiruv means bringing in closer. Kiruv. And the whole idea of this life is we're supposed to take everything from Hashem, from Shemayim, and bring it down into this world. I'm supposed to take all of this amazingness that I have inside of me, this spark, and bring it to you and bring you closer so that you know that you are my fellow and I love you. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. So that to me is the ascendant. That's the Mazel Ole, right? I still can't figure it out. Is it Mazel Ole or Ola? because Mazal, I believe, is feminine. It's nekeva. Whatever. I need more coffee. Anyway, all of the planets, all of the Kochavei Lechet, they all are correlated to different aspects of Jewish identity, Jewish tradition, Jewish holidays. And you'll see a lot of this in like Rabbi Pincus's book, but also a lot of this is reflected in Torah if you know how to think in that way. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, bottom line, when it comes to Jewish astrology, yes, astrology is Jewish. Yes, we have absolute to practice astrology as long as we do it in a kosher way. And Avraham Avinu was one of the preeminent astrologers in history. It says in Torah, kings would come to him for advice. What does that mean? Like, give me the lotto numbers? No. They came to him for guidance because he noticed the stars. And as a matter of fact, there's a section in Talmud that talks about how he argued with God. Like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm going to be the father of nations. Like, I'm 100. I have no kids. Like, well, I mean, I got this Ishmael kid, but like, I have no kids from Sarah. And God's like, hold up. You think you're the boss? I'm the boss. Just because you saw your star over there and it said no kids for you, guess what? I'm going to move your star for you because I can, because I'm God. That's literally the embodiment of taking your mazal, what's happening in your chart, and using tefillah, prayer, tzedakah, charity, and tshuva, coming back to Hashem, to change your mazal, to override your mazal. We can do that. That's why it says, En Mazal Yisrael. We are not victims of our mazal. We are partners with Hashem, with our mazal. So like, I'm telling you, when I pull people's charts, like they get creeped out. It's so accurate. As long as I do it with a Jewish lens, their minds are blown. It's unbelievable. And I actually did a live chart on TikTok Live a couple of weeks ago at Motzei Shabbat. For a couple, doubt they were stunned into silence. They were like, how did you know that? It's written in your chart. So bottom line, I just wanted to share this amazing insight with you. I am going to be holding a class on this. I'm going to teach people how to start reading their own charts, how to start understanding this connection, how to start pulling this information. I'm actually toying with the idea of starting a newsletter to kind of share the mazal of the week and what's happening in the skies that week. I don't know if anyone would be interested, but I've been discovering all kinds of amazing stuff. Did you know that the 12 tribes are each associated with one of the 12 zodiac? Some people know that, but did you know that they're also associated with different functions in the body? Yeah. Yeah, actually. So like Judah, Yehuda, is associated with Tale, which is Aries, which is the ram. They are associated with speech. I have a whole list. Like I've been learning and learning. I literally like make all of these charts for myself so that I can learn. And each of the Shvatim have their own planet, their own element, their own Hebrew letter, because the otiyot in Hebrew are sacred. It's considered to be like an object of power that can change reality. So each of the Shvatim are associated with, really, that's fascinating. Oh, that's so interesting. They're associated with a season. They're associated with an element. They're associated with the month of the year. For example, like Tale Yuda is Nisan, Pesach, right? Like when we have Passover. If I say Hebrew words and you don't know what it is, just ask me in the comments. I'm happy to translate. I'm just trying to do more Hebrew to decenter this practice away from Greek and Roman culture. I am annoyed that so much of pop astrology is Greek and Roman. They destroyed our temple. They ruined our lives. I don't want to give them any more power than I absolutely have to. And since the scientific community uses the Greek and Roman names for the planets, I'm stuck, but I'd rather use the Hebrew. Does that make sense? So each of the Shvatim, and they're associated with stones, like semi-precious stones, because of the chest plate that the Kohen Gadol would wear. There are so many correlations to things that we can deal with in our day-to-day life. So for example, Scoot, I'll use your Saba as an example. Let's say your Saba Yehuda, Alav Shalom. Let's say when he was alive, maybe he wanted to feel connected to his namesake, the tribe of Judah, Shvat Yehuda. He could potentially decide that it's connected with spring. So he could decide that in the spring, he was going to maybe plant something in honor of the tribe of Yehuda. It's associated with the stone turquoise. Maybe when he was feeling like connect with the tribe of Judah, he could wear a piece of turquoise, like men wear pinky rings, right? I wear lots of rings, but like he could wear a piece of turquoise. He could wear a turquoise shirt and think and meditate and daven about his connection to the tribe of Yehuda. We have this right. We have the right to daven and litpalel, to connect to all aspects of our spiritual DNA. That's why Judaism is so amazing in that it accepts converts. And the minute that a convert is converted, their Jewish soul is reactivated and they get the same downloads that we got on Har Sinai because we have spiritual DNA. And so all of these aspects, these correlations between these sacred stones, the elements, the seasons, the midot, the body parts, the physical traits, they're ways that we can start working on improving ourselves. And I really firmly believe that it's been here the whole time, you guys. I think it's been here the whole time, and we collectively have not been ready to receive it. Does that make sense? Like, I don't think that we were able to receive it when we needed to. And so now that we have so much technology, we have so much access to information, I feel like now we're beginning this chapter where we can receive all of these layers. And then don't even get me started on Kabbalah. All of this is correlated to the Sfirot, the 10 Sfirot on the tree of life. They're all connected. It's all connected. But this one piece about the Avot and Imaot, that's mine. I got that one. I have looked and looked. I had AI do deep research. No one has made this correlation that we can find except me. And I'm fucking thrilled about it because it means I'm going to learn even more about my clients when I do their Mapat Mazel. It means I'm going to be able to help more people. Also, I have a mouth like a sailor. Like, if that offends you, feel free to keep scrolling. It's cool. I'm Baal Tshuva. I'm making it up as I go. I fully admit I'm not a great Jew. Like, I'm doing my best. Oh, well. But I love what I'm doing. I love helping people, both as a life coach and doing Mapat Mazel. And I can't believe I'm going to do this. Does anyone want to come up and I can pull a little bit of info for you and see if this resonates for you, or if I'm totally blowing smoke up your TikTok skirts? Oh, here we go. Nathalie. I do. Why? What'd I do? Oh, well, thank you. I love that. Hold on. Uh, that's so weird. My AirPods stopped working. I hate it when that happens. Okay, doesn't matter. Whatever. I hear you just fine. Okay, hold on. Let me ask what I need to do. Don't just do something. Sit there. Okay, great. Give me 10 seconds. Let me pull up my assistant. I built a chat GPT for this. So I have my personal golem, and he helps me calculate all of this. It's the GPT that I created. And it's entirely Jewish in Hebrew with all the Hebrew words and the transliterations and everything. So give me your birthday. Well, okay, so you can no, that won't work. Can you DM it to me? I'll do it right now. Yeah. DM it to me. And the location as exact as you can get, and the time as exact as you can get. And obviously if you don't have it, you don't have it. People still get their star charts done when they're adopted, when they don't know the time. like shit happens. It's fine. But DM it to me. Let me see if we can find it. 1 second. Oh, wait. I don't know how to pull my, guys, I don't know how to pull my messages when I'm on a live. Oh, wait, I can use my computer. Hey, Nama, use your brain. You can do this. She's like, let me run and go get it. Hold on. My TikTok is being slow. Mm. Mazel tov. Welcome to the family. Or welcome home, I should say. The Moranos. Yeah. A lot more than people think. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's something incredible about the Sephardim that no other section of the tribes has been able to do is, well, no, besides the Yemenites, their last names go all the way back. It's so fantastic. I wish I had that and I don't. Yeah, my dad's a Holocaust survivor. So we only know his we only found his birth parents' names about 13 years ago from the Yad Vashem Museum. He found his name in the book, but that was all we found out. So whenever you're ready with the time, it's fine. And then while you're looking that up, what what's the location? Dade County. I mean, city or county is great. How the hell do you spell that? I would not have got. Oh my gosh, absolutely not. I would have butchered that. I would have put a Y in there and a G. Anyway, 10:50 a.m. That's beautiful. Okay, so I'm gonna grab your chart. For those who are interested who do follow astrology, absolutely. I'm also recording it on my YouTube, so you're welcome to pop in my Betterment Life Coach YouTube channel as well. I'm streaming it live, so you're welcome to take a look at that as well. And let me see here. Where did it go? Okay. For those who follow astrology, there's basically like 11 billion different systems that you can use to calculate someone's chart. And it's just processing the math differently. I used to use Placidus, which is like the traditional system of doing all astrology. I don't anymore. I do whole sign. And so it's just a different style of operating. So now let me grab this information. You are in my system. I am so excited. Okay. I love doing this stuff live, especially because, like, for the most part, I don't know who the hell I'm reading for. So when I start saying stuff, like, you realize, like, either you're full of crap or you're not. No. So whole sign is tropical. The one I do is tropical. I don't do the sidereal. No. Um, it's hard to tell. The short answer is they didn't exactly separate us by tribe when they kicked us out of Jerusalem. We tried to stick together, but we were also trafficked human beings. And so when we got bought by a Roman person, families got separated. So, hi, Easy. So it's hard to identify exactly which tribe. It does say in the Talmud that 10 of the 12 tribes were lost and that there is no official identification system at this time, that we're not going to have that until Mashiach comes, which I pray to God is like in an hour, because I'll be set and I'll be happy. But there is Let me put it this way. Again, unpopular opinion. I really don't think it friggin' matters at all for the sake of your capacity to be a Jew and to enjoy your Judaism and connect to Hashem and read Torah. Who gives a damn what tribe you are? Like,
No, I just found it fascinating. I just wanted to look into it.
yeah, yeah. I've had visions of what life will be like when Mashiach comes, and something has been buzzing in the back of my head around me doing these charts for people, and that there has to be something in their mazel that indicates what tribe they're from. I don't know what it is. I don't know what the commonality would be. I don't know what to look for, but I feel like it's in there. And it buzzes in the back of my head and it drives me crazy. Okay. So for your birthday, September, et cetera, at 10:50 in the morning in Florida, here is your Avot, your three patriarchs. Pat, yes. So the son, Avraham Avinu, your core identity, your soul, your ego, your primary self, your essence. Your Chama is in Betula, also known as the maiden, which obviously you probably know about yourself. But on your Mapat Mazal, it is in Beit Chaf, in house 11, Beit Chaf. Each of the batim on the circle, on the wheel, each of them is a different setting, like a set for a TV show. So when those planets and those mazalot move into those worlds, into those rooms, it dictates a different theme of your life. So for you, Beit Chaf, Chama Bebetula, it's calling you the practical visionary. It means that you radiate analytical wisdom and service-oriented strength. Betula is all about service to an individual or to the greater community, detail-oriented focus, laser-sharp focus. And basically the catchphrase, like, if you want to get it done well and get it done right the first time, you give it to a Betula. Leadership for you looks like showing up consistently, humbly, and with discernment. Your yes is earned and your no is sacred. So, and in terms of, hold on one second, I need to reload this. Okay. So for your Avraham Avinu, for your son, for Chama Bebetula, typically what I get from this is that Avraham Avinu has a message for you that is type specific to your chart. For the moment you were born, all of this was laid out for you. So there is a relation, a spiritual corollary between Avraham Avinu and this son position, if that makes sense. Meaning, for you in this case, for example, it's, hold on, here it is. You were born to serve with sacred precision. If Abraham was here, he would basically say, I see how hard you work to bring order and healing into chaos, not for attention, but because you care that the world works better than it currently does. Your light is quiet, but it's clear. Your gift is discernment, and you need to trust that. Not everything or everyone deserves your effort, and that's a huge hindrance for Betula. They have a tendency to over-deliver and give way too much of themselves, and that's something that they have to work on. But you don't have to fix what refuses to heal. Like, that's not your job. Focus. You need to focus on those who will rise with you. Because that's the energy of Betula. They don't just do the busy work. They don't just do the accounting. They don't just do the spreadsheet. They don't just do the fine detailed cleaning. They're doing it for the purpose of ascending to the next level, whatever that may be. Like, that's how they process it. So for you, your energy of precision and service and kindness and giving needs to be for those who deserve it, who are willing to rise with you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's something to learn about myself.
Absolutely. That's Avraham's message for you.
Wow.
Now, he also did not give his energy to everyone. He opened his tent of his door of his tent to everyone, but that doesn't mean they all came in and ate. And that doesn't mean he actually enjoyed hanging out with all of them. And that doesn't mean he invited them all back.
Right.
That's also part of boundary setting. Your moon, your levana, your message from Yitzhak Avinu. Levana, remember, that's the internal emotional processing of how you operate in the world. Your levana be Sartan Beit Tet. Your moon is in Sartan, the crab, in the ninth house. So what does that mean? It means you are emotional AF. Yeah. You are one of those I'm going to cry at a Hallmark commercial kind of emotional people. And I would bet you anything you also burst into tears when you're pissed off because it's just the default response, right?
I do. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I totally do.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Now, the reason behind that is because Sartan, the crab, is the most emotionally nurturing, mothering, caring. Bible, but see you later. Mazel in the whole zodiac. They are the mothers of the chart. And because the Levanat is your emotional processing of the world, and then it's in Sartan, your emotional processing is one of mothering and caring and nurturing. And as a mother, I can tell you, we tend to over nurture even when we should back off and let people fall and let them fall apart. So this is telling me from what I'm seeing, you are emotionally rooted in spiritual depth and sacred traditions. And those can be whether they're traditional traditions or traditions that you've crafted for yourself. Those are roots for you. You like that. And you tend to find your center through family, home, routines that you know, learning and honoring what has come before. That's the concept of honoring tradition. Your instincts tend to be very protective and intuitive. Again, that's all Sartan. That's all crab. Crab. And I would bet money, and I'm not a betting woman, I would bet a penny that when you get really flustered, you clam up and you put on a big shell and you withdraw and you go totally silent.
I do. I absolutely do.
That's Sartan.
Yeah.
That's Sartan. Now the message from Yitzchak Avinu, again, he's the inner holiness person. He's the one who ruminated. He's the one who dug wells all over Eretz Israel. Wells and water is related to the moon. He's the one that literally like dug into the depths to bring the emotions to the surface. The message from Yitzchak Avinu for Levana B'Sartan Beit Tet is your heart is a mikdash. It is a holy temple. You carry generations in your soul and seek Hashem in everything, even in your pain. I know your softness has been misunderstood, but your sensitivity is not a flaw. It's your direct line to Hakadosh Baruch Hu, to the Holy One. Keeping with the honoring of your roots is necessary. You need to keep doing that. You need to keep doing ritual and prayer. Your emotional radar is sharp because you're meant to guide others across this ocean of unknown emotion. I know there's a lot of rhyming, but that's part of how you were built. That's how you were designed to be. So if you need a mantra, you can tell yourself, my softness is holy. My emotions are important.
I love that mantra. I love that. This is amazing. I'm sorry, I'm crying.
Good. Let them out. Let them out. It's good. It's good. Now, the last one. For y'all who are just now tuning in, please like and share the live. I'm Naama. I do kosher Jewish astrology. I am doing a spontaneous reading with Nathalie. I've never met her in my life, and she gave me her information. She DM'd me her birth date and time location. I'm pulling her big three. We call that the Avot, Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. If you're not Jewish, if you don't do Jewish astrology, feel free to bail. It's fine. I'm not offended. Let's take a look at your Yaakov, your handshake to the world, the face you put on when you meet the world. I find this to be the most telling part of a person's Avot, of their big three, when it comes to what your mission in life is. And obviously there's a lot more, and I would need to pull your whole Mapat Mazel to know, but this is a good clue. So your Yaakov Avinu, your ascendant, your Mazal Olah, is Betoch Akrav Beit Aleph. So your ascendant is the scorpion in the first house. And that's where the ascendant always lives. It always lives in the first house, and the rest of the Mapat Mazal moves from there. The thing about the Scorpion is that I call them the masochists of the zodiac sometimes. They are ride or die, just like Taurus, but they're fiercely loyal, but they also tend to dive in head first into the hidden things, the taboo things, the psychological things, the emotional things, the spiritual things, so far that they can end up burned, and it can be painful. So with your Mazal Ole Be'akrav Be'beit Aleph, what we're talking about, it's calling you the soul surgeon. The way that you shake hands with the world, you are intense, perceptive, and basically an emotional x-ray machine. You can see right through people. You embody truth and transformation. That's what the Scorpion does. That's what Akrav does. They are the vehicle for transformation, death, and rebirth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. And they project it so much that when people are just around you, they'll feel like they have to confess to you. Like, it's the craziest thing. People feel seen when they're around you. A lot of therapists, you'll find that they are either Shemesh Akrav or Mazal Ole Akrav. Their sun is in Scorpion or their ascendant is in Scorpion, because they see to the root of whatever's going on. They see under the layers. But also it's important to know that can be a rabbit hole, and you can get sucked under. And that's a thing to be cognizant of. Like, I don't necessarily want you to, give me just a second, Deb. I don't want you to feel like you have to dive into every single psychological, metaphysical, transformative rabbit hole that presents itself to you, because you will be exhausted. You will be wiped out, right? So the message from Yaakov Avinu, again, he was the father of our 12 tribes. He was constantly transforming himself over the course of his life and meeting the world and the people of the world in a new way in every iteration. Like, Yaakov was the multi-iterated person, right? He was a twin, and then he kind of took Esau's identity for a hot second and took his birthright, and then he was a fugitive and a thief, and then he became Laban's employee, and then he became Leah's husband, and then he became Rachel's husband, and then he became the father of the nations. So he was constantly reinventing himself. So Yaakov's message to you, Mazal Olab Be'akrav Be'beit Aleph, we see the strength beneath the silence. That's the message. The world doesn't know what you've had to transmute in order to survive. And frankly, it's none of their damn business. But your spiritual patriarch, Yaakov, knows what you've been through. It's part of your spiritual DNA. Like, it reads, it resonates. It's part of the kisher, the tether that we have to our matriarchs and patriarchs. You walk through darkness with a lantern made of your own broken pieces. You don't flinch from truth, which is very courageous, and you don't pretend to be okay when you're not okay, which is also very courageous. That is a superpower. That's your superpower. You need to own it and protect your space, because not everyone deserves access to you and the depths of you. That's the message from Yaakov regarding your ascendant side.
Wow. Yeah. I needed to hear that.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You have a very, I'm not going to say beefy, but you have like a very, oh God, words. Give me some words, please. Like, your big three, your Avot, are intense. Your foundational pieces of your chart are intense, and they have really strong, powerful purpose. And it's almost like the difference between using a number 2 pencil versus using one of those fancy $200 mechanical pencils. You know, there's a tool designed for precision and for perfection. And that's what these 3 are giving me from your chart. But the work that you're meant to do is also intense and emotional and precise and it can be overwhelming and it can make you feel like you're being sucked dry. Yeah. So that is a taste of your Mapat Mazel. I hope everyone was watching. I have recently launched this service. How do you feel, Natalie?
Oh, I'm just wiping some tears. It's incredible, incredible, and a little liberating and validating. Does that make
It
sense?
better be validating. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, validating and liberating. But
But here's the thing that's going to blow your mind. Hashem put these kochavei lechet, these planets, in the firmament billions of years ago and set them on their course. It's a fixed course billions of years ago and set them to be in motion exactly where they are to build this Mapat Mazal for your personality only. Because had you been born one zip code over, you would have had a different outcome.
interesting.
It's literally the blueprint of you.
Amazing. Like a fingerprint.
Like a fingerprint. Yeah. Even if you take into account like twins who are born, they're still born minutes apart. And those minutes can impact the positions of where the planets are too. It is literally the blueprint, the fingerprint for you.
That's incredible. Yeah. Oh, I love this. This is amazing. How can I get a recording of this?
So it's on my YouTube. I've been live streaming it. God willing, I did it correctly and it didn't get screwed up.
Your YouTube.
Yeah, it's Betterment Life Coach, or at Betterment Life Coach. And I believe if you just go to my TikTok, my link in bio will have all of my links in there for you, as well. And if you are interested, keep in touch. We could definitely do a full reading and see what else is there for you.
To you on a live recently, and you were talking to, I believe it was Nuclear Matt, or Matt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Said some beautiful things to him that it resonated with me. I go, I've got to follow this woman. She seems amazing.
Oh,
That's
gosh.
why I'm following you, and I'm here today.
Oh man, I'm getting all like pink in the cheek. Thank you.
Incredible. I could tell you were an incredible soul, so I had to follow you.
Oh my gosh. Like tell your friends. Um no, I really do feel liberated now to be able to start offering this service publicly. I was doing it privately for almost 30 years, and I thought when I came back to Judaism that I had to stop, and that is not true. We can embrace our astrology. We can embrace the messages that we're given. And the crazy thing about it is that it changes from moment to moment, day to day, because the planets are always moving. One of the things that I'm still learning every day is how these transits day to day, hour to hour, overlap on my own chart and how they influence me. And that, I believe, is the constant message that Hashem is giving us. If we notice, if we pay attention, if we look at the patterns, if we see, and recognize it, we can get like the inside track on how to best navigate difficult situations, especially like moving or starting a new job or things like that. Like there are auspicious times to do that, and there's times where we really shouldn't be. We just don't typically associate it with astrology. We associate it with common sense and logic. You're not going to go plant a garden in January unless maybe you live in Arizona. Like, you're not going to start a brand new job when, it's, I don't know, December 24th. Like, probably not. Like, there are certain times where things align and certain times where they don't. And that's not by accident. The timing of things is created intentionally. And if we can start to pay attention to it, we really can literally shoot for the stars.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, sweetheart. I actually have to go do another reading. So I am going to just give everyone like 5 minutes. If you have any other questions or if anyone wants to request up, I'd be happy to chat for 5 more minutes. I know there was somebody else who wanted to come up. I don't think they're in the room anymore.
They can come up.
You don't have to leave, not at all. But I don't see them in here. But if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. I don't claim to be the know-it-all. I tell people all the time I'm Balchuva. I make it up as I go. So.
And then what were you talking about? Turquoise. We were talking about that's one of my. I just want you to know that's my favorite stone. When I got divorced, I sold my diamonds and bought turquoise.
Did you really?
I did.
That is so interesting.
I don't know why my whole life I've always been drawn to turquoise. I have vintage turquoise, I have blue turquoise. I just love turquoise. It's so funny.
So that's very telling, and that's like a whole separate rabbit hole that you can go down forever. Each of the precious and semi-precious minerals have an energetic signature. And so whatever stone you gravitate towards, there are energetic alignments that you're craving, whether you consciously know them or not. And whether that means that you're trying to spiritually connect to the tribe of Judah, or whether it means that you are looking for different energetic solutions to problems, like they're there. That's why rose quartz is associated with healing, and moonstone is associated with dreams and psychic ability. So like, don't ignore these things. Like, this is Hashem whispering to us. Our gut is always right. So if you feel like you need to wear a bunch of turquoise, go with it, and see where it takes you. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know why I've had this natural draw to it my whole life, but I love it.
Well, let me see. Now I'm curious. I think I spelled turquoise wrong, but whatever. I'm sure ChatGPT will know what I meant. Let me see here. It's called in Hebrew Event Tolkiz. That's what it's called. It's often associated with techelet, the blue thread on the tzitzit that we wear on the four corners of our garment. That's actually written in the Torah that it has to have a blue thread in it, and the turquoise is associated with it. It's also connected to the elements of air and water, like a sacred breeze over a healing spring. It's known to calm the nervous system, channels emotional flow, protects communication and spiritual truth telling. So in the last one, in Ayurveda and in Indian Vedic practice, the throat is associated with the color blue and the heart is associated with the color green. So the two of them together make turquoise. So when we're talking about speaking from a place of heart, we are, when we deal with turquoise, it's part of communication. That's an Ayurvedic practice. Ayurveda is a consistently practiced science that's been used for 5,000 years. It's also telling me here that turquoise is associated with protection, truth, expression, mind-heart alignment, peace and clarity, divine guidance, and ancestor connection. Huh.
Interesting. All things.
Isn't that stuff we just talked about?
Yeah, pretty much. That's wild. That is wild. It's not even my birthstone. My birthstone's sapphire. So.
Well, and sapphire is a whole separate animal, by the way. That was the stone of Hashem. Like, it said that Hashem's throne was built on a field of sapphires.
I love sapphire. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. It says here, who needs turquoise? People healing from throat wounds like losing your voice or trauma silence or gaslighting. Those who are empathic sponges or absorb people's pain or drama.
Still the turquoise you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Women reclaiming their voice in marriage, business, or spiritual leadership, and anyone stepping into prophetic coaching or healing work.
Wow. Okay. Oh wow. Okay.
It's all connected, babe. It's all connected.
Extremely relevant in my life right now. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah. Wow. This has been amazing.
I'm so happy. Maybe I'll do this more often. I was wondering if anyone would even tune in. But this has been kind of fun.
This has been kind of amazing. So thank you for this. I will find you again.
Yes, please.
Very soon.
Yeah, the website is fairly new. It's mamamazel.com. So MAMAMAZEL.com.
Gotcha. I will find it. I will find it through your profile.
Yeah, feel free. The link is in the bio. And if it isn't, for some idiotic reason, because my assistant may not have put it in there, just DM me. And I'll, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to do it right now because I know I'm going to forget. I'm going to do it right now because I know me, because my father always says, never memorize anything you can write down.
Wise words. Very wise words.
I mean, we don't want a house full of post-it notes, right?
Also, when you write it, it actually helps you remember it, even if you forget that piece of paper.
This is true. This is true. That's like, I can't count the number of notebooks full of notes I used to throw away in college because I didn't need them. I just needed them in the moment.
Right, right, right. It's just something to help absorb into the brain.
100%. 100%. Um, so yeah. Any other final questions from my fellow yids? Who's got astrology questions? It's not Trafe, I swear. I mean, I don't really swear because we're not supposed to swear, but you know what I mean.
But this was so much fun. Thank you for
Yay.
that. This
You're
was amazing.
welcome. You're welcome. I hope you have an amazing day.
How often do you go live? Because it was fun.
So the short answer is not often enough. I'm supposed to be shooting for like twice a week. My kids have now like finished school, so they're home full time. So I don't even know when this is going to happen. And I'm still trying to figure out if I should like, I don't know when is better. Is it better to go live in the evening when the kids are in bed, or like way early in the morning before they wake up, or like hope that they can like be watching TV? Like, I don't even know.
Well, I think anytime really depends on the audience you're going to get. You know, you're going to have people awake in the UK at certain times. You know what I mean? It just
That's
depends.
true.
You
That's
know?
true. I wish I could take a poll.
Yeah, well, any time is going to be probably a good time. You'll find somebody, you know? It's just like,
Yeah. Well, some of my friends, they have their TikTok on literally in the background all the time, like Patty Cake, who was in here earlier. And she's just like, oh, Namazon. Oh, let me jump in. And it's, she's always like that. But it just depends. So no other questions because I'm going to have to go.
okay, well, have a great day and thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome,
Appreciate it.
darling. Let's be in touch, okay?
I will. All right.
All
Thanks so
right.
much,
Bye,
Nathalie.
honey. So, again, for those people who don't know, my name is Naama Segal-Karis. I am an advanced certified life coach. I also am a Torah observant Jew, and I practice kosher Jewish astrology. My specialty is shidduch evaluation, meaning I help people figure out if they're actually ready to get married or not. That's my coaching. But when it comes to astrology, I pull people's star charts and see what's going on with them to see if they're ready for adulthood, ready for marriage, ready for the next big thing. I don't do predictions, prognostications, none of that. We don't do that. We don't do that in Judaism. And I don't do astral magic. Astral magic is where someone's like, wave a stick over your head at noon on a Tuesday, and then this planet will favor you. Like, that's astral magic. We don't do that. Also, it's kind of silly. So I don't do that. But I absolutely am able to pull your chart and see what's in it. I've designed a chat GPT for this purpose. It's mine. I don't share it with anyone. And I pull everything that is what Hashem created for you the moment you were born. I decenter my astrological practice away from Greek and Roman pop culture astrology. That matters to me. As a Jew, as a Torah observant Jew, as a person who knows my history, the Romans and the Greeks destroyed our lives. So I'm not giving them any more credit than I have to. So when I do mazalot, when I do astrology, I do it in Lashon HaKodesh, in Hebrew. I focus on all of the Torah-related aspects of the mazalot, and I decenter the practice away from Greek and Roman practice. So that's me. That's a new offering that I have now live. If anyone's interested, I invite you to jump in. The website is www.mamamazel.com, MAMAMAZEL.com. And yeah, I love doing this. I tend to give people like chills when I run their numbers and look at their Mapat Mazal. It's incredibly powerful. So if there's no questions, I'll give it one more minute, and then I'm gonna have to go do another reading. Also, if anyone out there knows technology and knows how to do live streaming on TikTok from your computer, I have a Mac. If anyone can give me advice, I would appreciate it because I think I'm fairly tech savvy. And for whatever reason, I cannot figure out how to stream from my computer for TikTok. I can't get it to work.